Oh, yes, it's another Victory Monday, but this one feels a little bit different, Dolphins fans. So before we even get anything going, before we get an intro video or anything like that, I need you to type 70 in the chat because guess what? The Dolphins put up a 70 burger. Franchise record. They set lots of records. We'll get into all that, but let's get it going right away. Type 70 in the chat because this Dolphins offense is special, and they put a 70 burger up in an NFL game. What's up, Dolphins fans? Jake Riepma with you for Dolphins Today, and I'm still trying to adjust my eyes when I see that score. Like, no way there was an NFL team that scored 70 points and 10 touchdowns in a National Football League game, but actually, it did in fact happen. Crazy game at Hard Rock Stadium. What a way to open up at home in front of the fans. The Dolphins move to 3-0. We're going to totally unpack this one, go through all the records that the Dolphins set, update you on all the injury news and whatnot. But if you're like me, you're watching that game. They've got 70 points. Mike White's in at quarterback. The backups are even running circles around the Broncos. And you know history in the Super Bowl era. The most points scored in a regular season game, 72. So all the Dolphins had to do was kick that field goal. They had the ball in Broncos territory. They were in plenty of field goal range for Sanders. And you thought maybe Mike McDaniel would do it. I know I was rooting for it, but he did the classy thing and he took a knee so that the Dolphins finished with 70 points instead of the NFL record in the Super Bowl era of 73 points. And here's what Mike McDaniel had to say, because he was going to get asked about this. And he said, quote, "I'm very okay with the decision, and I think the team, notably the leaders of the team, supported it. The captain supported it. It's not the way you want to get the record. I would hope that if the shoe was on the other foot, the opponent would feel the same way. That's called karma. I'm trying to keep good karma with the Miami Dolphins." That's Mike McDaniel on not kicking the field goal to achieve the NFL record of 73 points. And I'm not going to lie, in the heat of the moment, I was ready. I was like, come on, coach, kick that field goal, 73 points. Let's make it happen. But then, you know what? I digested it a little bit. And then I saw what his comments were, and I started to think, the wheels were in motion. I looked at it again this morning. I read the quote from Mike McDaniel, watched the postgame presser, and you know what? I think he's right. I think he did the right thing. What really jumped out to me is when he said, that's not the way we want to get the record. And there's something to be said about the classy move. However, I'm still going to argue the other side of the coin is, hey, it's the National Football League. These are millionaire athletes on both sides of the football. So if they don't like the Dolphins scoring a bunch of points, then stop it. I think it would have been fine either way, but with McDaniel's explanation, I can't give him too much of a hard time. And so with that, I'm okay with it. But I got to ask you, were you wanting the Dolphins to kick that field goal to put up 73 against Denver? Should Mike McDaniel have gone for the field goal on that final drive? We're having fun with this one because the Dolphins are 3-0. Obviously, it's nothing too serious. When your offense puts up 70 points, you can have a good time on the Overreaction Monday like we're going to do. But let me know in the comments. Type Y for yes if you wish the Dolphins would have kicked the field goal. N for no. It's our pinned comment of the day. So if YouTube hits you with that ad break, don't worry. Just type in the comments Y for yes, N for no. All right, so it's, again, not the biggest deal to say, oh, the Dolphins should have kicked the field goal and gotten to 73 yards. So that's all the time we're going to spend on it, or 73 points, not 73 yards. You know what I meant. Let's get into exactly how good that Miami Dolphins performance was yesterday in all aspects, but especially on the offensive end. We're talking 10 touchdowns, and it truly was record-breaking in so many different ways. And my overreaction Monday might not even be that big of an overreaction, but I think Tua in this Dolphins offense is the best we have seen in the National Football League, and there are certainly some numbers to back it up. And certainly the best offense we've seen in this franchise's history. Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill. We haven't even talked about Achane. We'll get into that as well. Raheem Mostert, and all the guys that Tua has at his disposal. It is just an embarrassment of weapons. But let's get into Tua Tagovailoa and the most explosive offense we've seen since the greatest show on turf. Tua is on an entirely different level. That's what Ryan Clark of ESPN said about this Dolphins offense. So he's a guy that is in the know. He does a lot of good stuff for ESPN. And what's important is he truly believes that we have never seen anything like this Dolphins offense since that 1999 St. Louis Rams offense, the greatest show on turf. And if you look at the numbers, this Dolphins team is projected to pass a lot of those records that the greatest show on turf set. And I especially love this one that we've got on the screen for you. The 1,651 total yards through 3 games of play. That's the best in franchise history. And the 130 points through 3 games are also the best in franchise history. So there's a lot of different ways to break this down. However, I think any way you slice it, any piece of the pie that comes out, this Dolphins offense has the potential to be generationally good. And it's a 3-game sample size now, so it's not like we were talking after the first game, overreaction Monday. And what we saw on Sunday at Hard Rock Stadium is something I think the rest of the league will never forget because of how clean, how pure, how crisp the offense looked in so many different aspects and how well they were clicking on every cylinder. And look at Tua Tagovailoa's numbers through 3 games this season. 1,024 yards passing, the 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He's averaging better than 10 yards an attempt. And it's really scary because even for as good as Tua's played, I think he can even play better, and the best is yet to come. But those 1,024 passing yards through 3 games are, you guessed it, the most in franchise history. So we got to show our guys some love. Spam Tua in the comments because he is A, your favorite for MVP, B, continues to dazzle in so many different ways. I mean, that no-look pass he had, it was insane. I mean, the guy is reinventing the way the quarterback position is played. And I know that's some of that you might think is hyperbole. I promise you it is not. Look at the numbers, look at how good this offense has been, and tell me they're not generationally special. Dolphins Today is presented by Prize Picks. I am so pumped to tell you about Prize Picks for a number of reasons, but most importantly, at the very top of the list, it's far and away the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. What's also really nice, especially for, someone like me, it's super easy to use and ultimately easy to win big. So how easy is it? I'm so glad you asked. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. It's that easy. So forget the complicated spreadsheets. They never worked anyways. Quit trying to beat the Sharks. With Prize Picks, it's just you versus the projections, baby. That's it. Look, I use Prize Picks all the time with the Dolphins, have a lot of fun with it, and I'm ready for Monday Night Football tonight too. I like what I've seen out of Baker Mayfield so far, so I'm going more on his projected passing. And for Matthew Stafford, sorry, hopefully you and Kelly Stafford don't get mad at me here, but I'm going less on your passing projections, and it's that easy. You can win big with Prize Picks. That's why I love it. So don't wait. Set up your Prize Picks account today. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match of, get this, up to $100. Now, don't worry, that link will be in the comments and the description of today's video, but go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. So we've talked about how good Tua Tagovailoa has been, and rightfully so, but I wish we had 5 hours to talk about how good everybody else has been on the offensive side, and I don't want to go any longer without giving the cheetah the love he deserves, because guess who set the tone from the very beginning? That was one of our keys to the game. Punch them in the mouth. They did exactly that. The Dolphins did, and Tyreek Hill was a huge part of that, scoring a touchdown on the opening drive to let Denver know that this Dolphins offense is special. And Tyreek Hill had a huge game. He was over 100 yards receiving again. Also had the touchdown, as I mentioned. And through 3 games, the Cheetah has 412 yards receiving. And stop me if you've heard this one. It's starting to sound like a broken record, Jake. We get it. It's the most in franchise history through a 3-game start. Tyreek Hill has been special. Mike McDaniel and Frank Smith have been able to design plays to get him wide open and with room to run after the catch. And it's kind of funny because we all can see it as we watch the game. Tyreek Hill is like a cheat code. It's been incredible. So Tyreek Hill, just like Tua, has set a franchise record for the most yards through 3 games, which has been really impressive. Now, I almost feel like I deserve to be punished for going this long without talking about the 2-headed monster that was Achane and Raheem Mostert in the backfield. Now, Achane had some funny tweets we'll get to later on about how he wants his name to be pronounced. So on Sunday it was Achane, now it's Achane. But let's look at the numbers between Mostert and Achane. Achane on the ground was special. This guy was clocked out at running faster than 22 miles per hour. 18 carries, 203 yards. That's better than 11 yards per carry. He got it done in the passing game as well with 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns for 4 of them on the day. And not to be outdone by Raheem Mostert, who kept the momentum going from week 2. He was special again in week 3, 82 yards rushing on 13 carries, but he had 3 receiving touchdowns to go along with the 1 rushing touchdown for a total of 4. I beg your pardon, I said that backwards. So he had the 3 rushing touchdowns to go along with 1 receiving touchdown, but at the end of the day, they both totaled 4 touchdowns. So between the 2 of them, 8 touchdowns on the day. Incredible production from the Dolphins backfield yesterday from Achane and Raheem Mostert. Now, that also means we got to give the offensive line their flowers, because that was a question mark coming into this season based on the way they played in the preseason. Everybody in the comments, me included, had questions about this Dolphins offensive line. They'd kind of been the weak spot of this offense in years past, but not so fast. Through 3 games, they've allowed just 2 sacks, and Tua's only been hit 5 times in a 3-game period. That's impressive. And as far as the total unit goes, you know, anytime you have the number 1 rush offense and the number 1 pass offense in the league, your offensive line is a huge component to that. So shout out to the offensive line. They continue to get it done. And what happens when the offensive line is working with the skill unit, the quarterback's on the same page as the offensive coordinator and the head coach, the receivers are making plays, the running backs are making plays. You add it all up and you've got a 70 burger in the form of a record-breaking Sunday. The Dolphins broke or tied 13 franchise records between individual records and team records. We got the team records up there for you. The 70 points, most points in a game, the 10 touchdowns, the most touchdowns in a game in franchise history, the 726 yards. I mean, even saying that without pausing to really grasp how dominant this offense was. 726 yards, that's the most in a game by the Miami Dolphins, and the most rushing yards in franchise history as well with 350. So there it goes. That's as positive. I mean, you try to find one little thing to complain about, and I will. So about 99% positive, yes. However, There was one little negative that we have to mention, and that's a 99-yard kick return from Marvin Mims Jr. for the Broncos. Now, the game was out of hand at this time, and I don't put the responsibility squarely on Sanders, the kicker. However, it should be noted that was the only non-touchback of the game, and so the Dolphins kick return or kick-off team covering the kick return has to be a little bit better. And this is unfortunately the second Monday in a row where we're left talking about Jason Sanders as the kicker. Remember, he missed 2 field goals against the Patriots on Sunday Night Football. And you know what? He was 10 for 10 on extra points on Sunday, so hard to get too mad at him. However, kicker is that position where if you don't love the production you're getting out of the guy, there are plenty of options out there on the free agent market. We talked about that last Monday, but I got to ask you, what is your level of concern around Jason Sanders? Scale it for me in the comments on a 1 to 10 scale. 10, I'm super concerned. We need a new kicker right now. 1, we'll be just fine. We'll be just fine. It's not a big deal. You're making something out of nothing. And to be fair, my confidence or my concern level is only at about a 2 or a 3. And I say that because week 1, he had the missed extra point in a crucial moment, so that's a check on the concern. Week 2, he had the field goal block and was 0 for 2. That's a check on the concern. And hard to blame Sanders for the kick return for a touchdown. But again, it's just one little note that kept the Dolphins from playing, quite literally, the perfect game. Now, I still grade them out A+. Look at all the grades on Pro Football Focus. They got the top-graded safety in Javon Holland. Terron Armstead played incredible. We already talked about all of the other weapons, so the grading is there, but just that one little cause for concern. And I'm at a 2 or a 3, so I'm not quite there as far as sound the alarms. We got a lot to be worried about. But let's transition now into some Dolphins injury news, because unfortunately, that's the ugly part of the game. And for the Dolphins, there were a couple of noteworthy injuries to get into. First, starting with River Cracraft. Obviously, he's not the top wide receiver, but he's a crucial component to what the Dolphins do on offense. He left the game on Sunday with a shoulder injury, and when Mike McDaniel talked today, he addressed the River Cracraft injury situation, saying, I don't know how long it will be. I think at this point, my immediate reaction, I would be surprised. It's definitely not a day-to-day thing, but we'll continue getting feedback from him as we get even more test results back. We'll figure out a timeline for that. So, again, I am certainly no expert, especially when it comes to anything in the medical realm, but just hearing the tone that Mike McDaniel had, I get the feeling that the Dolphins might be without River Cracraft for at least the immediate future. So we'll keep you updated on that on Dolphins Today, because that's why you subscribe. We've always got the latest on Dolphins injury news and updates. Now, there are a couple other ones to get into. We know all of this record-breaking plays and performance was done without Jaylen Waddle, one of the top wide receivers for the Miami Dolphins. He was out from the concussion that he suffered in week 2. And the update on Waddle is really positive. Mike McDaniel is very optimistic, said he's still progressing through concussion protocol, but overall, I think Mike McDaniel, and there's a sense amongst the entire Dolphins organization that he is very, very close to returning. So you feel good about the Jaylen Waddle update. Now, Jaelen Phillips, he played after missing week 2 against the Patriots. He played on Sunday, and he's in more of a day-to-day situation dealing with those back spasms. So again, anytime it's day-to-day, you don't want to get too high or get too low as far as reacting to some of the injury news. We'll just kind of play it by ear, exactly as the report is day to day. And the same could be said about Connor Williams. He's kind of in that same boat as Jaelen Phillips. So nothing to sound the alarm with there. However, just continuing to monitor it day by day. All right, before we get out of here, we got to have a little bit of fun, because when this popped up on the old timeline, the old X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, timeline, I had to do a couple of double takes, because I, for one, we have those watch parties. If you haven't subscribed and haven't joined the watch party, you are missing out. Let me tell you, we had a blast on Sunday for the Dolphins Broncos watch party. But every time Achane got the ball, that's the name we would say because that's how it was pronounced, Achane. But this tweet from Adam Schefter this morning started making its rounds. A PSA. After his 4-touchdown performance Sunday, Dolphins rookie running back Achane informed the team that moving forward, he would like his name to be pronounced Achane. So, not the exact same thing. It's one of those things that if anytime Schefter tweets about it, you got to take note. So, not Achane, now it's Achane. And a beat writer for the Miami Dolphins for the Palm Beach Post, Joe Shad, had a little bit of an update on this and said a recording of Achane saying Achane is definitely Achane. So kind of confirming that report here. It's close to Achane, but it's definitely Achane. So there we go. Folks, we're all going with Achane, Achane. And anytime the rookie busts out for 4 touchdowns, we got to get the name correct. So forget what you thought you knew. It was Achane. No, it's Achane now. So, and it just got me thinking that maybe the Dolphins have a little bit of a name change thing going on right now because you had Robbie Anderson, now Robbie Chosen, and keeping up with all that. But that's why we're here on Dolphins Today, because we're going to keep up with the name changes. We're going to keep up with the injury news. We're going to keep up with everything as it relates to the Aqua and Orange. And speaking of Aqua, on our watch party on Sunday against the Broncos, one of the most memorable watch parties we've had, certainly most memorable for me, we started a new tradition, the Aqua Club members. And I'd say it's off to a hell of a start. The first game we introduced that, the Dolphins break 13 franchise records and score 70 points. Coincidence? I think not. But $100 of Super Chats gets you into the Aqua Club member. And it's an exclusive club for Dolphins Today subscribers, Dolphins Today fans, and got to thank these guys that have it going on right now and contributed to our Aqua Club. Chad Jones, Lord Buddy Bear, David Breecount, we appreciate you and your support of Dolphins Today. But if you want to be the one, you want to be just like Chad Jones, I know I do. You want to be like Lord Buddy Bear, you want to be like David Breecount, join our Aqua Club membership. We're going to keep it going all year long, and that's why you subscribe to Dolphins Today. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Shout out to that Dolphins offense, a 70 burger. Never going to get tired of saying that. 70 points scored on Sunday against the Denver Broncos. We'll continue to keep you up to date on all the Dolphins happenings throughout the course of the week as we get ready for Buffalo on Sunday. But thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time. See you.